What is up, fellow nerds, and welcome back to the Dapper Snapper Gaming channel, and welcome back to How Do I Want to Do This? This is our series where we take a look at all playable options available to players in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, and then we rank them on a scale of 1 to 10, and then either fix them or build them together, depending on how they rank. Now, this week we are talking about our next subclass for the Bloodhunter class, and we are talking about the Order of the Mutant. So, today we're going to be breaking out the alchemy tools and seeing just what kind of potions we can concoct. So if you're excited about that, make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe if you haven't already. As you can see, the vast majority of people who watch this channel are not subscribed, so please help us to fix those numbers and get to where we would like to be. Also, share the video with your friends and click the bell so you're notified whenever I upload new videos. So the Order of the Mutant is, first of all, oftentimes confused for when you think of mutant. A lot of times people think of this, but this isn't quite what the idea is. Instead, we're looking more at mutagens, or creating these powerful concoctions to give ourselves certain little powers. Now, the way that this is written is very interesting, but it's very flavorful at the same time. So, is it any good though? Let's find out. So at third level, you get two features, and they both go hand in hand when it comes to your main core features as a mutant blood hunter. The first one is formulas, and so this gives you your basis of what you can concoct as a basically dark alchemist, which is pretty cool. You learn 4 of them right now, and you will learn 4 more as you progress through the levels of blood hunter, and that's pretty great. Now, all of these come with a boon, and they all come with a side effect. So you have some that are really cool as far as what they give you, such as you could get a flying speed, but you also then have disadvantage on strength and dexterity checks for 1 hour while you're flying. That could be a problem depending on what happens, but if those don't come up, then having a flying speed of 20 feet for an hour, that's amazing, right? Now, I'm not going to go into super detail on these because there are a lot of them, and going through that would it's going to be its own video at the end of this series, where we talk about things like artificer infusions and this and things like that, where I'm just going to rank all of them. But some standouts are things like celerity, where you can increase a stat by 3 for now, and then at later levels by 4 and 5. This also increases your maximum by that much. That's kind of huge, right? Because now you can have a +6 or a +7 to your attack and damage rolls. That could be huge, right? It does give you disadvantage for a corresponding saving throw, but depending on what you're fighting, if you're fighting a melee character that doesn't use any magic, this is a no-brainer, right? Depending on if you're a dex-based or a strength-based character. Yeah, that's kind of huge, right? I think that those are pretty great. There are also some other lackluster ones. You have some that will give you resistance to one type of damage while giving you vulnerability to another one. You can have dark vision. You have advantage on certain saving throws. Your crits can get better. You can walk faster. There's a lot of different types of things that you can do here. And some of them are really good, where the boon outweighs the side effect. And then there's some where it's you gain an additional use of your blood maledict feature, but you also have disadvantage on death saving throws. I don't know that I would risk that, to be honest. I don't think that that's worth doing. So yeah, there are some that are really good, and there are some that are not as good. So you could take really good ones, but are they going to be hugely impactful? I think it depends, and this feature is kind of really dependent on what we get as far as the next feature, so I'm going to rank these actually together. So let's get to the next one before I give a ranking. So we also get mutagen craft, and this is what allows us to actually concoct the formulas. So that's why I'm kind of combining these into one, because they're essentially just one feature. So this allows you to concoct a single one when you finish a short or long rest. So once you level up, you can make more than one at a time. So you can make 2 at 7th level and 3 at 15th. That's a little late to me, but it can be powerful depending on how you combine these things. So as a bonus action, you can drink this or eat it, or however you make it, I guess.
Eating it seems kind of weird. But while one or more, notice that you can have more than one of these going at a time. You can also use an action to flush everything out of you as well. So you lose the good and the bad. So if you foresee that something really, really detrimental is about to happen to you, so for instance, you had your bonus use of the blood maledict feature, but you're getting ready to go down and have disadvantage on death saves, you could flush that out of your system so that you are back at neutral, which is good that you have that kind of flexibility. You also cannot use these on other people. They only affect you. While for story reasons I get it, I understand that this is a thing, and I guess for balancing purposes, this is very selfish. And you know, normally I'm looking at characters that allow you to help the party, right? So even when you look at the alchemist artificer, which is kind of the official version of this, you can give those to your friends. You can give the experimental elixirs to your friends. These you cannot. These can only help or hurt you. Everybody else, if anybody else drinks it, it doesn't do anything. So I don't really like that. The other thing I don't like is the way that this is worded. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, because yes, I understand for balancing purposes what he was going for, but I think it doesn't make much sense here as far as like the wording, because you can create a new one at the end of a short or a long rest. However, if you already have one during that short or long rest and you make a new one, it just goes bad, well, the other one goes bad. So let's say you take an entire day and don't take a short rest, right? And you use your potion like late in the evening, right? It's lasted you all day and you're fine. However, alternatively, you wake up the next morning and you have a battle break out at 9 or 10 a.m. and you don't use it for whatever reason. You take a short rest right after and your potion went bad. So it doesn't make much sense logically. Yes, it's Dungeons and Dragons, and so not everything can be logical, but I just have a problem with that as far as like how that works for quote unquote realism. And I think that kind of hurts it. I think it should be, if you already have one, you can switch it out for a new one or something like that. I mean, I guess, I don't know. I just think the wording makes it seem worse than it is, even though you could just make one of the same one. I don't know. It's just weird to me. As far as overall with formulas and mutagen craft, it's a tough one because you have such a wide range of options. Some are really good, some are not as good. So overall though, I think I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10. It doesn't blow me away, to be honest. There are so many other things that you could get here that don't give you the downside, but also give you the upside of what these are giving you. And so when your base feature always comes with a downside, no matter what it is, I think that's rough, right? You have to make a decision, so you really have to think before you drink this potion or whatever it is. And if you choose wrong, you could be really hurting yourself with your main core feature. So yes, they're pretty good, but they also could be a problem. So it just kind of evens out there for me. At 7th level, we get strange metabolism, and this is where we begin fixing some of our weaknesses. So what this does is not only it gives you immunity to poison damage and the poison condition, which is pretty awesome. Just giving straight up immunity at level 7, that's pretty nice, especially to poison, which is a super common damage type. However, also you can, as a bonus action, flush the negative effects of your mutagens out of your body. That's pretty great. Honestly, that's pretty fantastic, especially since you just got a second potion that you can make at a time at the same level. That's pretty fantastic, right? So it is of one of them. You can't flush both of them if you have two at a time here. But that still means that you can use one of your more powerful ones, especially one that allows you to gain extra in stats. Now, some of these are level locked, so you can't necessarily do all of these at 7th level. But that can be really nice. Use one that's especially powerful and knock out that side effect, and then go ahead and use one that maybe is a little bit of a lesser one. So That's pretty neat, though. I think that's really cool. As far as, is this a game-changing thing? I don't think so, but it is very nice. And especially if you are facing a lot of poison-based enemies, this is going to be your saving grace. This is going to make you feel very, very powerful when they are swiping at you and you just ignore it. So definitely cool. I still think this is an 8 out of 10 here. It doesn't blow my mind, but it's still pretty good. I think it's still pretty good. It helps with your weakness of your main feature, even though it doesn't completely solve it. It's still pretty cool overall. So at level 11, we get Brand of Axiom, and this is our brand improvement, essentially, to Brand of Castigation. And so this allows you to have a little bit more of a powerful feature when it comes to that. So this one's very interesting. So what it does is when you brand a creature, this affects things that are either in illusions or being invisible or anything like that. So if a creature branded by you is polymorphed or has changed shape, which is very specific, they must succeed a wisdom save or revert to their true form and be stunned until the end of your next turn. That's pretty cool, right? Whenever one attempts to it, they have to do the same thing, and if they fail, then they are stunned until the end of their next turn. If they have illusions disguising them, or if they are making a creature invisible, then they also can't benefit from those during this time when they are branded. This is very situational. It sounds really cool, right? You know, you've got something that is polymorphed. You know, you've got the you've got the person who polymorphs their friend into a T-Rex in order to come after you all, right? And then this gives you the ability to knock them out of that form, revert them to their true form, stun them, and just wail on them, right? It's the end of your next turn, so you'll have advantage on your next attack against them. The problem with this is that it's so situational, and your dungeon master is going to see this coming, right? I'm not saying that all dungeon masters are jerks and are going to keep you from using this feature, but it's so easy to get around this feature by you either not knowing that there's an illusion there, or they just succeed on their wisdom saving throw. I don't know, it's interesting. Whenever they are branded by, if a creature branded by you is polymorphed or has changed shape, they must succeed on it. It doesn't tell you how often they have to make this save. So if they just are polymorphed at the time, they must succeed a save or be stunned. Is that once? Just like when you brand them, it's once and then they're just immune for forever? Is that once per turn? It doesn't tell you. I'm going to assume that it just means they make the save one time and then they're done. So, you know, if you don't have a really, really good intelligence, then this feature is completely useless. So again, your score here is going to be based on your intelligence score, and you've got to make sure that's really good. I think this is a really clunky feature. I don't think that it's impactful really. And I think it's super situational. You're going to feel great the one time that this works, unless you're in just a huge illusion-filled and polymorph-filled campaign. But let's be real. I don't think that this is a commonly used feature. I mean, it's 11th level. Polymorph probably isn't the worst of your worries at this moment. You've probably got some other things that you're dealing with. I don't think this is fantastic. I think it's a 5 out of 10. I think it'll be okay when it comes up. Otherwise, you probably aren't going to use this all that much. At 15th level, we get Blood Curse of Corrosion, and so this gives us another Blood Curse for free. Again, all of your subclasses get this at either 15th or 18th level, and this one happens to come at 15th level and is exclusive to the Order of the Mutant. So what this Blood Curse does is, as a bonus action, when you are within 30 feet of a creature, you can force it to make a Constitution saving throw. On a fail, it is poisoned, and at the end of each of its turns, it can make another Constitution saving throw, ending the effect on a success. If you amplify this, it deals 4d6 necrotic damage when you initially curse, and then it also suffers this damage every time it fails its Constitution saving throw. So this is interesting, right? It's a Constitution saving throw, which is really unfortunate. A lot of creatures have really good con saves. However, you could straight up just murder this thing of whatever it is, as long as it doesn't resist necrotic damage, if it keeps failing its save. So again, you've got a really big need for a high intelligence score. This subclass is very, very reliant on intelligence, so you definitely want to get that up. I think that you have to amplify here. I think that it's pretty much required, or else it's really not worth it. I don't think it's worth using up a use of your blood maledict in order to just poison them. There are so many other ways to poison people in D&D that I don't think that it is necessarily worth a 15th level feature just to be able to poison somebody and they still get to save against it with Constitution. There has to be something else here, so you have to amplify this. I don't like that. I don't like blood curses that you have to amplify in order for them to be useful. I like for it to be, if you do, then you have a really good option. It does make it significantly better, but it's also good in its base form, so I don't have to take that damage on myself every single time. So that takes away from me. I don't think that that's the best thing in the world. I'm going to give this a 6 out of 10. It can be useful. However, a lot of things once you're at level 15 are going to have resistance to necrotic damage. Not everything, but a lot of things are. Constitution saving throws are going to be really strong on your opponents, and they get to repeat the save, and if they beat the save, then you've wasted the use of your feature. I think that's rough, so I'm gonna have to go with a 6 out of 10 on this. I hate to rank it this low, but it's just something like this is coming on so late that I don't think I can rank it any higher. Finally, at level 18, we get Exalted Mutagen, and this is an interesting feature. So basically, because we've been working with these mutagens for so long, our body just basically knows how to make them itself, sort of, which is pretty cool. So as a bonus action, you can choose to end the mutagen that is affecting your body, one of them, which can be up to 3 at this point. You can end it. And you then, in the same action, or I guess bonus action, you can start a new one up. Not even one that you necessarily made, just one that you know the formula to. That's pretty interesting. That's pretty interesting. And you can use this a number of times per day equal to your intelligence modifier. Again, this subclass is super reliant on your intelligence modifier. Is this worth an 18th level feature? No. I don't think it is. I think it's cool for flavor, but I think it's only there for flavor. And as far as adding a meaningful way, it just, you had to make 3 already. You've made your 3. You've got 1 or 2 of them affecting your system, and you're like, well, I didn't make the right one for the day, but I know this other one, and I can switch that in on the fly. Okay, that's cool, but like, how impactful is that really going to be? It's situational, and I really don't think that it's going to be all that great, because you're going to bring the ones that are really, really useful. You're going to have made those already, right? And so you're not going to end that one on yourself unless the downside is worse and you can't flush it at the moment for whatever reason. I think that this is something that's coming online so late that it's really not worth it to me. I think this is like a 4 out of 10. Like, you'll use it, but like, is it gonna save your life? Probably not. I think that for a capstone feature, this could have been so much better. So where do we stand on this subclass? I think you can tell that this doesn't scale well. This subclass starts out okay, but it just kind of gets worse as it goes. It kind of all falls apart, just slowly. So obviously this is one that I would suggest if you wanted to multi-class into Blood Hunter. This may not be a bad one to look at. So if you were doing like a martial alchemist artificer, you could do something like this and just multi-class dip into this for the extra potion uses. That could be cool. Maybe you are a Bladesinger wizard and you want some neat little buffs here and there. Maybe you want to have the have a buff to your dexterity, or maybe you want a damage resistance or something like that. So that, that could be useful and that could be a thing. But as far as like playing this to level 20, I really don't think that it's better than the other options. Now this week, as far as, since this is, not official material, I'm not going to be making a fixing video, just because it's homebrew, it's not an official thing, so it's not my job to fix that. But I do think that this one's pretty rough, actually. I think this one's rough. I'm gonna have to give this a 6 out of 10. I do think that this is the worst of the Blood Hunters, and I think that there's just so much more that it can do. Yes, when you play this, I think that it has potential. I don't think that it's necessarily bad. I just think the others give you a lot more, and this definitely does not scale well at all to me. Your features get more and more useless as you level up, which is always a bad sign. So yeah, this is not my favorite subclass. So what do you think of my ranking? Do you think I'm being a little too harsh on it? Is there something I'm missing? Let me know in the comments down below. We're going to be building one of these, as always, at the end of this week. Yes, it breaks our rule of if it ranks high enough, but where it's homebrew, I'm not going to mess with somebody else's homebrew. I don't think that that's very nice. I don't think that's fair. I think it's just, we fix the official stuff, right? So we're gonna build one of these and we're gonna figure out a way to make this powerful. We may break our rule of 11 levels though and go with less, just depending on how I'm feeling. This is gonna be an interesting build for sure. So stick around for that and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. Until then, hope you have a great week. Stay safe out there, stay healthy, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.